Zenless Zone Zero just turned 1.5 years old, which is not a long time per se, but in this small time Zenless changed a lot. And not particularly for the better. And I thought I would give my thoughts on the game and how it changed and how I see it before Season 3 drops. But who am I to talk bad about the game? Well, I'm someone who played this game for more than 510 days straight, so I qualify myself, okay? So, just shut up. I have things to say about this game and I won't rest until I can say all of those things. Part 1. The Zeroes Zone. When I started to play Zenless, the game looked like this. Chingy was the newest character and no one quite knew what to expect from the game. People who followed it since the announcement had high hopes for it, or so I think. I didn't even hear about this game or even knew that it was a MiHoYo game at all. I just saw an art of Emmy on Twitter and I liked her enough to look up where she's from and try the game out. And before ZZZ, I've never even touched any Hoyo or gacha game, so whatever you hear in this video will be completely about Zenless and only about Zenless. If I complain about something and you say, well, actually, Genshin and Star Rail have these structures and game mechanics too, so it's just a Hoyo game thing, so it's actually, I don't care. Just because it's been in their games from the beginning, it doesn't mean it's good, right? Assassin's Creed Modern storyline? I'm going to look at Zenless through Zenless and not through other Hoyo games. So whatever I say, just remember, it's all about Zenless Zone Zero, and I won't compare it to Genshin of the Honkai Star Rail III. And I feel like this cluelessness actually helped me to enjoy the game a lot more. There was a charm in not knowing how the gacha mechanics work, not knowing any agents beforehand, not knowing any upcoming agents either. So every event was new and exciting. Upgrading a character was an uncharted territory, not just something you do for the sake of meta and for the grind. The story and the world was fresh, new, cool and engaging. But the one thing that sucked me in like a black hole was the vibe. Zenless had a really hard urban retro futuristic aesthetic and vibe, which in itself was enough to keep me in for months. It's like if Tony Hawk and Johnny Silverhand had a kid, and then that kid have been splashed with ink from Splatoon. It was colorful, fun, but still gritty and heavy with brilliant music. The streets were decorated with graffiti, there were concrete buildings all around, but it still felt futuristic due to the many robots roaming the cities and being an integral part of the world. And the VHS still left it in the retro, because after the fall of the old capital, humanity had to reinvent the wheel, so they went back to using VHS tapes. And what does the VHS stand for in this game? Wow. You subscribed. And then you step inside of a hollow. The hollows are weird, twisted, they give you rock cancer, and yet again, felt like the cold hard truth in this world. The story itself was one more thing to like the game for. You are a legendary hacker, a proxy, who helps others navigate through the maze of the hollows, but we cannot step into them ourselves because we'll die like a rat in Chernobyl. It had a limiting factor to our abilities, just like how our identity had to be kept a secret from everyone and only accepted if we could know it because we were a criminal. Most new factions introduced to the story were built up beforehand and felt natural part of the world, and those characters, whew, boy, take a shot every time a design is fired and you'll be drunk before we reach 1.2. And the animation in and outside of combat just amplified that. Every hit and dodge felt impactful and satisfying to execute, and with every character having their unique animations for all of these actions were just the go beyond of the game. We met so many different characters from different backgrounds who we could care about, and when it all came together as the Avengers Assemble in 1.4, it was just the go beyond of the... I think you get it. I feel like I'm praising the early game maybe too much, but back then it was probably the best received gacha game for a reason. It felt like the perfect blend of story, characters, gameplay and world, where almost everyone interacted with each other one way or another, and we got to know them well. No wonders that the Cunning Hares and the Sons of Calydon are still the most beloved factions even to this day, because we've seen them in multiple chapters and we got to know them well. I think this is how a good live service game should be. Mix the old characters into the new stories, make the world feel like it's big and alive, it's introducing characters long before they become playable, so we have the chance to know them more, and it feels less like a game where the new characters just come and go to make money. Zenless felt like the game that was made by gamers to gamers. Gooners to gooners. It was amazing. Part 2. Aren't you getting a little hollow? And just when the story started to slow down a little and getting samey, came the storm that is approaching and it was all great again. Releasing Miyabi was big, like her ears, and the fan favorite character finally got released after being introduced in one of the best cinematics in the whole game back at the very beginning. Okay, stop. I want to talk about this. The animation in this game is... was superb. I love how cartoony and over the top the animation was. I know some people had issues with how clashing it was with the stillness of the visual novel bits, but it just made them stand out even more. I did not feel this much hype and joy in my life like when I saw these characters move in these uber hype 3D animations. And introducing Miyabi in this scene definitely set the expectations high for her, and she did not disappoint. Miyabi, to this day, is one of the most correct character in the entire game who is worthy of the plastic chair. She got the hype, she got the fans, but the main story was basically over. We defeated Bringer, and we just had to enjoy the new year and diddy daddy around for the rest of the season. 1.5 was nice enough, but as much as I love Ambi in her OG form, I had little to no interest in her soldier form. And it was around this time when came the biggest shot in the leg. TV mode was gone. Hear me out. I know that a lot of people hated TV mode because it was slow, was interrupted a lot, and it was boring. And I agree. But if that would have been fixed, TV mode could have been transformed into a brilliant puzzle game. TV mode again was a unique mechanic that made me fall in love with Zenless at the very beginning, because I saw so many potentials in it to flesh out into a complex, mind-twisting puzzle game. We are a clever hacker after all, so let me feel like I'm navigating through a maze that constantly changes and is full of danger. At the beginning, it was obvious why it was easy. It was the tutorial, it was the beginning of the game. But the problem is that it never went beyond that. We never got harder challenges to solve, mainly because it is a gacha game aimed for all kind of dumbasses. People who probably can't even tie their own shoes had to be able to solve this so they can spend more money on the sexy red girl. But they at least could have done something more with it in some non-necessary side stories or work it into a cool dungeon crawler. But alas, TV mode got cut and it will probably never come back. Thank you, Timmy, you little bitch. But yeah, the cooldown period in Season 1 was nothing special or memorable for me, so that's why this part of the video is a short Part 3, Season China. After almost 1 year of the game launching, Season 2 hit with astronomical hype and love around it. Google Classroom reviews were up the sky again, and everyone felt like this is going to be the best next era in the game's history. A completely new region with a completely new set of characters, new hollow exploration mode, new game mechanics, a new Void Hunter level agent, and then it all fell flat. I think we can agree that Season 2 has been pretty lackluster and bland for the most part. The story tried to be more focused on the Exaltives being evil and we need to stop them, which could have worked on paper, but we can't really connect or care about any of them. We don't have the interesting bunch of different bosses from Season 1 from different regions and backgrounds, mostly because every enemy is just here to praise God and drink as much Kool-Aid as any cult ever. The only boss that breaks this up is the Wandering Hunter from 2.3's Memories of Dreams Bygone, which, in my opinion, was easily one of the best chapters in a long time back then. And by adding Yishuan to our allies, the game loses all the tension it would have, because we have someone who can just say Kumbaya for 10 minutes and wipe out the enemy team or heal an entire town. The story actively had to explain why Yishuan is not around and leaves us alone so we can overcome the challenges ourselves. It's the same idea as in Lord of the Rings Gandalf not being around for a while, or in JoJo Part 6 Jotaro pissing himself for half the season, but here it feels less natural. She just have to leave us alone for reasons. And speaking of pissing, when Season 2 launched, everyone was upset because the game was too Chinese, which is not gonna butcher the atmosphere completely, but I agree that it is not the Zenless vibe that I love from Season 1. And it is not a big issue in itself. A new season of a live service game can and should move on. But if they wanted to put some Chinese elements to the game, because I get it, Hoyo, you are Chinese, you need some China representation in your games, Season 2 could have looked more like Chongqing, and the game could have kept its urban cyberpunk roots while still having Yunkai Summit and the temple in there. Or just add it up high in the mountains, because I know this is going to be the weirdest comparison ever. But that's exactly what Ninja Go did back in the day. They had a good blend of modern and ancient all in one city. I know you wanted Kung Fu in your game because Kung Fu is really cool, I admit. But you could have done a better job at it. Like you could have done a better job with so many other things as well. For example, riddle me this, Batman. Where are the side quests from Season 2? Actually, a Bat Tyrant would be really cool. One of the pillars of Season 1 that we are a freelancer who accepts work anonymously because we need the money. But we have nothing now. Also, being a well-known underground criminal isn't a secret anymore because the mayor himself is paying for us, and Bell and Wise just tells everyone that they are Python. It's not interesting anymore, just like being able to go into the hollows as just A human is boring and not even a little bit special. You can only be us in minigames that last as long as a Guinness drank by an Irishman. We never even use the HDD system here, so why bother setting it up in the first place? And with this, the game completely lost its CRT vibe as well, that was so prevalent in Season 1. And despite Bell and Wise being in Wi-Fi to study, we do nothing but run around in Lemony and Hollow waiting for another character to tell us where we can help next. The character designs are also, for the lack of a better word, changed. In Season 1, every single design had a purpose. They were well thought out urban style outfits that looked like you could just put together from everyday normal clothes. Even the more unrealistic ones had a sense of grounding and had enough details for someone to make a 20-minute long video about it. Now, can you imagine a video like this for Lucia or Yidori? No, because their design feels like a cosplay rather than an actual outfit that feels real. And this even deviates inside of a single faction too. While Jufufu wears a normal sneaker, a shirt, and a jacket, Yishuan wears well, this. I can't even name a clothing item on her other than fingerless gloves. Even the damn panda got a more real outfit than her. In Season 1, the most out there outfit was probably Trigger's, and yeah, it's not my favorite, but at least I can name what she's wearing. See? It has a trigger. My favorite things to wear. And at least it didn't feel like any general fantasy design. The only outstanding design element on Yidori is this. It looks like an emoji that goes, One of the other big appeal was how even A ranks had S rank designs. But what does it matter if we never get any A ranks? Especially because A ranks were always genuinely endgame capable. I know Hoyo needs money, but I do too. Give us more A ranks, because if this continues, I will have more subscribers than this game has A ranks. That would be diabolical. We don't want that. Another hugely missed opportunity is not having characters interact from Season 1 to Season 2, or having older factions interact with the newer ones. There are some examples that prove me otherwise, but you know what they say. The exception proves the rule, which quote never made absolutely any sense to me, but it does prove my point now, so I'm going to use it. Like how cool it would be to see the Cunning Hares and Spookshack talk to each other. Nicole trying to convince Alice to lend her some money, while Yuzuha just teases Nakamata with some catnip, and Monato and Billy just throwing out. And if you think the issue is that 6th Street is just too far away from Wi-Fi, no, it's not. Wi-Fi characters regularly visit our store, even those who have jobs, and probably don't really have a lot of free time to just run around. And talking about 6th Street, we kinda miss the variety of the NPCs and just general places from Season 1. All we have are a few names in Phalum Heights, and even then, I don't really care about them. And the place just lacks the knick-knacks of New Eridu. No random panda outside of a cafe who built an urban legend around himself, no man living in the dump, and no furry roaming the streets. There is just a lack of identity in the overworld. And also a lack of minigames. I don't necessarily need an arcade everywhere, but at least let me play Mahjong if you put it on the street for no reason. The Yakuza fan in me yearns for the tiles. Part 4. Okay? After finishing the latest 2.5 story, I can wholeheartedly say that Zenless Zone Zero is back to being great. And part of it is because every character who was in it was already established long before this chapter, not just randomly thrown in out of nowhere. We met Shungang before and got to know her, so the emotional beats worked. Zhao also has been present for a while now, so we care about her despite being a Labubu. It had way more lore and presence than the 1.4 finale of Season 1. And the thing is, I've been feeling this "we are so back" feeling since 2.3. The story is coming back together, being interesting and not just a wet paper towel. We have more and more recurring characters with great stories to tell, and more importantly, interact with each other. That is always what I adore the most in any story. Just let already established characters from different ideas and backgrounds talk to each other about their view on the world. Yeah, I still miss the variety we had in Season 1 with the special episodes because they let us explore sides of the world that we couldn't see as proxies. But 2.5 expanded a lot on Lady Sunbringer's lore, so I can't be that mad about it. Although being only in Lemony and Hollow is pretty bland and uninteresting, give us more hollows, or I'll blow up this cat. And am I the only one who thinks that they tuned down the bounciness of the animations in Season 2? They are still cool and give me goosebumps from time to time, but in Season 2, there are only like 3 cutscenes that I can think of. The one where we first met Alice for being just a bouncy and cool animation, the Monato vs Monato fight, and the very final cinematic against Sarah that stands out as a very well choreographed fight scene. Other than these three, most of the animation was just okay, but nothing outstanding. And talking about Sarah, her whole deal was nothing. She was built up all the way from season 1, and all they could give her is a kinda sad backstory and an amazing, super epic boss fight that gets interrupted by a tutorial screen midway right at the best part. Yep, I mean, yeah, the fight was the coolest thing ever in Zenless, but in a chapter where nearly every lore drop was phenomenal, Sarah was just but I can't be too bothered by it. It seems like if you are a boss in this game and you have a generic sad backstory, your boss fight will be outstanding and cool. And with that being said, Season 2 introduced a lot more gameplay mechanics and combos you can do with the different characters. And I just have to appreciate how every character still has a unique set of animation for every movement they can do in combat, spiced up with their own unique personalities. This game is still an animator's heaven. Will I stop playing and enjoying Zenless Zone Zero because of its flaws? Nah, probably not. It's not perfect by any mean, but it's in an upward momentum right now and I'm hopeful for what's to come next. Yeah, the retro future vibe is gone, but later locations and music could still improve on it later on, to bring back that funk that's missing from Season 2 so far. Because I really miss the Season 1 chill musics every time you finish a story mission, go back to the store and just relax in the melodies. Season 2's music is Chinese sounding, sure, but they still could have done something to make it sound more Zenless. But maybe the Angels of Delusions being on 6th Street can bring back that feeling a little. With their little event going on as I write this, the tunes sound really nostalgic and OG Zenless. And with the idols finally being out, we might even leave the magical Wi-Fi behind for good that so many of us hated. It's kinda ironic how the Angels pulled us back to our safe little 6th Street. The game might not turn back to where it was completely, and we can't erase the whole season's story from the lore and from our minds. But you know what? I don't care. Because as the gacha music has been telling us all along, let's just enjoy the ride. We've waited this long for the idols, so let's just enjoy the present a little and stop worrying about the future. And with the other teased characters' designs, I have a good feeling where this game is heading. All three of them are definitely a must-pull for me, and I can't wait to return to New Eridu to see what's coming next. I just have one request. Bring back TV mode!